day 3 of the superhero plan, and today we're gonna be hitting shoulders and traps. As you can see, Brandon's already ready.
Oh, I'm ready. Got the new tank on, I'm pumped. I'm gonna get this done, baby.
Yeah. So first up, we have the seated barbell shoulder press. Obviously, this is going to be working predominantly shoulders with the secondary muscle group being triceps. But one thing you always know in a seated position, it's gonna be slightly easier on your core. You have less balance involved because you're in the seated position, but sometimes it can feel a little bit more difficult because you don't have your legs to help you out. So this one is good to always switch it up. If you're used to standing presses in the shoulder, you want to change things up, you go into the seated barbell press, and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, this might be a little bit different than I'm used to, and it forces you to push a little bit harder, and that's what it's all about. And speaking of pushing a little bit harder, the last set of this is going to be a drop set, meaning you're gonna complete the 8 repetitions, drop the weight, complete another 8 repetitions, and if you want, drop the weight again and continue repping it out until failure. So we're really fatiguing the muscles on this first exercise. It's a big compound movement, one of our favorites, and let's go, yeah.
Like Brandon was saying, with the legs, sometimes you don't even notice that you're kind of cheating just a little bit. It could be subconscious even. For instance, when you're performing overhead press, all you need to do is have a little bit of that leg drive in there, and then suddenly it becomes a little bit of a push press. But when you're seated, the legs are completely out of the equation, and then it's just all shoulders, and that could be pretty difficult when you're not used to it. I know it's pushing me pretty damn hard, especially leading up to this drop set. This is a major compound movement, a variation on one we really enjoy, and we're happy to have added the seated edition because it throws a little bit of a curveball at us, which is good from time to time because we like to keep it interesting and we like to be surprised. By ourselves.
Next up, we have a compound movement, which is going to be the cable face pulls, utilizing the extension in your shoulder joint and the flexion in your elbow. So this is really pinpointing not only the rear delt, but also a lot in the traps and some of the other muscles in the upper back, the rhomboid, a little bit in the lats. But of course, after we finish the face pulls, we're immediately going to superset that with an isolation exercise, which is going to be concentrating on the shoulder extension, which is basically keeping your arms semi-bent, but pulling your shoulder all the way back just like so, and that's really gonna help engage the posterior deltoid quite a bit. So one of the main function of the posterior deltoid is to extend at the shoulder joint there, along with a little bit of lat, but in this case, is really gonna be hitting those rear delts quite a bit because we're not gonna go too heavy with it. We're gonna go light enough where you feel a nice burn in that rear delt, especially because it's supersetted with a compound. So with a compound, it's already fatiguing the muscle a little bit. Following the compound, we're gonna go right in the isolation, and it's really gonna burn those rear delts out, and it feels pretty damn good.
With the superhero plan, we tried to utilize a lot of barbells, a lot of dumbbells, because our thought process was, we're trying to have as many people perform these exercises as possible, even though you may have limited access to certain equipment such as cable machines. Having said that, there is the cable face pulls, but if you don't have the cable machine available, thankfully you can switch it up with either barbell or dumbbell. As you can see here, I'm performing the dumbbell face pulls. It's a great alternate version of performing this exercise. It's one that I don't do a lot actually, and performing it now, it actually feels damn good. So thankfully you always have a lot of variety available to perform the exercises. You gotta get a little creative, but sometimes you find a new favorite exercise in the process.
So we have a tri-set, meaning we have 3 exercises paired together. They're all gonna be isolations, and we're really trying to pinpoint and focus on different portions of the deltoid. The anterior portion, which is the front, the lateral, which is the side, and the posterior, which is the rear portion of the deltoid. Now, a lot of these work together in a lot of movements, but we're just kind of paying a little bit more attention to each group in different movements, meaning the first one, the front raises, are gonna be concentrating a little bit more on the anterior portion of the deltoid, immediately moving on to the lateral raises, which is going to focus on the lateral portion, and then going on into the bent over reverse fly, which is going to be helping pinpoint the rear deltoids. So we've already hit a lot of the rear deltoids in the previous 2 with the face pulls and the shoulder extensions. So yeah, I would say pairing these 3 back to back is definitely gonna burn out those delts. It's gonna completely fatigue them. So what you wanna do is take the weight a little bit lighter so that way you can get all the repetitions, and it's more about that very good form, that strict movement to really try to help focus and isolate each muscle group, make sure they're working through that range of motion, and that's when you'll feel that intense burn in there. And wow, my shoulders are definitely feeling that intense burn as well.
And as you can see, much like with the face pulls, we're doing a little bit of a variation here. Me and Brandon are both using dumbbells, but Brandon is performing some alternating front raises with a little different palm placement, whereas I am doing them both at the same time, bilateral movement with the front raises. For me personally, is because I'm getting very worn out, and mentally, I'm thinking about it as both of my shoulders working together as a team to get this done. So I don't know if it's working or not, but I'm able to make it through the set, so something must be going right. And sometimes that's what you need, is a little bit of mental fortitude along the way, which I need every little ounce of it I can get at the moment, because this tri-set is pushing me to my very brink. It's gonna be the final exercise focusing on the shoulders primarily before moving on to the traps. And I'm pretty happy because I'm just about shot.
Next one is a pretty simple exercise. We're focusing on the trapezius muscles through shoulder elevation. And so we're gonna be grabbing a barbell, loading it with a pretty decent amount of weight because it is a shorter range of motion, and the traps are a pretty large muscle group and they can handle a lot of weight. And we're basically just going to take our shoulders all the way up to the top position, as we like to say. Imagine you're trying to touch your shoulders to your ears and then slowly let it down to the bottom position. And in this, we're pyramiding up in weight. So we're starting with the 12 repetitions, and then we're going to increase the weight each set, going as low as 8 repetitions. And on the last set, we're gonna be doing a drop set. So drop set, get those 8 reps in, drop down the weight, and then complete another 8 repetitions, or complete the repetitions until failure, depending on what you want to do. But damn, those traps can be popping after this one.
When you look like you have a man growing out of another man's body, your traps are big enough. I almost jumped the gun and ended the video. That's how much I was not looking forward to doing core today, but we're gonna get it done, damn it. Much to my surprise, or maybe the aloof nature I'm in due to all the struggling with those shoulder exercises, I forgot that we were finishing up with a core exercise, which is rollouts, one of our favorites. We've been doing this one for a long time, and it really does get you that awesome core pump. You really feel this one as you're doing it, and with 3 sets at 20 reps, you are definitely going to feel this. If you don't have a roller wheel, you can always just use a barbell, load up 2 plates on each side and roll it out that way. Of course, you want to find the round plates. If you have the hex ones, you're gonna have a bumpy ride. You can do it, but I wouldn't really recommend it. So rollouts, final exercise of this workout, feeling damn good, and we're about to wrap this thing up. Yeah.
Someone heard there was a massive pump going on. Deltoid workout.
Yeah.
It's like the bat signal, but it's the buff signal.
Yeah, exactly. Once the weights start clanging and grunts start going, Tommy's ready to work out.
Oh yeah. So hope you enjoyed the workout. Next, we're gonna be hitting biceps and triceps for an arm workout that you just can't miss.
Stay tuned and stay buff.
Yeah.